tell me what Spaced Out is about.
Spaced Out, an Intergalactic Crime Saga, is about 5 anti-heroes and how their nefarious pursuits lead to the possible destruction of their B-grade universe. It takes place in a universe that's more of a multiverse of pop culture and science fiction. When Sam and I got together to write it, we wanted to pay homage to the genre of science fiction. And so we just created this fun multiverse kind of world that just has all sorts of pop culture references in it. So,
Now, this isn't the first film you've done.
no. The first time I tried to shoot an actual feature length was Smothered. And I did that in 2007 or 8. And that was more me learning how to crawl. I felt like I didn't know if it was even possible to shoot a feature with no money at all. We're considered below independent. We're actually a micro budget. We have no money. So it was like, can I actually get this many people together for this long and try to actually get through a project? And with Smothered we did, and it looked decent, but I knew I could do a lot better. And I still feel that way, even with Spaced Out. I'm really proud of Spaced Out, but I still feel like I can do a lot better.
What was the runtime of Smothered?
Smothered was 1 hour and 32 minutes.
And what's the runtime of Spaced Out?
2 hours and 5 minutes.
So it's obviously a bigger endeavor.
It's more epic.
More epic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I believe at one point you told me before that when you were doing previous films, that you would write it constraining the plot to sets you knew you could get, or locations you knew you could go to. But it was different on this one. You decided not to take that route.
Right. We decided to do something totally different. And, whenever people try to, and I've done this too, try to write a movie, you're like, okay, well, I got a restaurant, so it's going to take place in a restaurant. And I got 2 friends that look like each other, so they're going to be brothers. And you try to utilize what you have around you, which is smart. But what we wanted to do is just say, hey, let's pretend we have $10 million. And let's just write it like completely uninhibited, and then try to figure out how we would make that and flesh it out, utilizing what we had around us. And so
was this a personal challenge to be able to make a feature without constraining the plot to an available location? To just write it saying, hey, we're just going to write this the way we want it, and we will figure it out as we go.
Yeah. It was a bit of a challenge, but it was more liberating than a challenge. Like I felt like it felt free for the first time, like I could actually start to create instead of being restricted by finances, to be able to just be creatively free and say, hey, I'm not, it's not like, how do we do a motel room? It's like, no, just write the motel room out, write it the best you can, and just uninhibited. And then the fun of filmmaking is figuring out, how do we do that? How do we make a planet blow up? How do we make a spaceship that's flying through a wormhole? We have, and as you're writing it, when you do filmmaking, you're already kind of piecing it together how you might try it. Okay, we're going to do green screen for that, or we're going to, do models for this, and, things like that. But.
So that said, there were obviously some challenges in making Spaced Out. What are some of the challenges that stick in your mind at the moment?
Well, the models were, that was a big conundrum between us and with us, because we spent so much time working on models, and we liked the way models looked in like the older 80s movies, Empire Strikes Back and Star Trek and all these, where they used actual models, but they shot at higher speeds and had a lot better equipment and money than we had. So making that switch from models, physical models, to CG was difficult. Mostly because we had put so much hard work into it already, and we were already going one direction, but then you have to stop and decide what's best for the movie. Yeah, we did spend a lot of time, money, and hard work on these models, but if the CG looks better, if we're able to we will have a little more freedom to move things around a little more, we need to go with what's better for the movie and not what our egos are wanting.
So from start to finish, from concept of the story and the plot to the premiere, what's the total time invested?
So I was thinking about it, and like it really, the first draft of Spaced Out was finished in May of 2011, and that's when we both finished an actual first draft and said we like it. So it's 2014, so it took approximately 3 years to go from that first draft to premiere.
So you've spent the last 3 years of your life, obviously for little or actually for no pay whatsoever,
No.
all pro bono for the benefit of the film and the crew and everyone that worked on it. Why did you put this much effort into it?
It's like a compulsion to put I put so much effort into it, I guess, because I love filmmaking and I want to do it for a living. And I got tired of thinking about money and restraints like that, and just saying, let's just do it. Let's make a movie. You want to make a movie? What kind of movie do you want to see? This is the kind of movie I'd like to see. So
Was there any point during the production or after you had finished principal photography, when you started editing and you started realizing the challenges of the special effects, for example? Was there any point where you stopped and said, "I'm not sure I'm going to be able to finish this. I'm not sure how to proceed"?
yeah, I never felt like at any point that we wouldn't finish the project. I wondered how it would look. I wondered if it'd be close to the vision that we had when we first started. There's lots of times I go, I wonder how that's going to turn out. But you just go through the process, and I would say 85 to 90% of what we've shot for looks like what I wanted it to look like. So I'm pretty happy with most of it. It's still, there's little things I would love to go back and fix and clean up, but or that I would do differently, certainly.
So if you started right now from scratch, um, knowing what you know now, what you've learned in the last 3 years, knowing the people that you're working with, um, the new people that have come on to assist, the capabilities that now exist for you, what are some things that you would possibly change?
I would get somebody in there. I would, one of the things, the biggest changes I saw was working with you. Making that change over to the CG, and getting people that have talents that I don't have to help me make the product look better. To make it look sharper. Part of the problem is that when I'm directing, on this level, I'm kind of doing everything. I'm trying to make sure the lighting's okay. I'm running around working with the actors. I'm painting gray makeup on actors, or doing the makeup and making sure that looks right. Then I'm running over to the camera and trying to make sure that it's lined up and the settings are right. And when you do all of that, you end up missing stuff, and it just comes out. You're running. I'm spreading myself out so thin that you eventually start, dropping the ball on certain little things that could up the quality. So if you have somebody like yourself who's really sharp with the camera, that's their job. And that way I can just talk about what we want it to look like, and they can make sure it doesn't look like crap.
So to make this feature, it required a considerably large cast and crew, and they were all volunteers. Um, what was the glue that just held this all together over this period of time?
That's tough because I think it might be different for other people. I guess for us, it was just, we really loved the story. When it came down to the screenplay, we enjoyed the story and we enjoyed the process. And it was kind of strange seeing it come together because it shouldn't have. There's certain points where it's like, this just should not have happened. But somehow the movie gods came in and manipulated things enough so that things worked out the way they did so that we can finish it. So it's kind of weird just seeing, like we had like, I want to say 30 some odd people in a basement and created alien bar scene to do our own little cantina scene. And getting that many people together in this just totally chaotic environment and try to work with them and actually come out with footage that you can use, it was just amazing to see stuff actually come through all the way. So.
So what's your most fond memory of the production, whether it's in the writing phase, or whether it's in principal photography or post production?
I would probably, I think it's when we were on the dunes. We were kind of like this group of nomads. Like I'm wandering the dunes with no shoes on because it wasn't really that hot out. The sun was out, but the reflection would bounce off of the sand and burn you. Which I didn't realize until that next night when my legs were on fire. Like, God, my legs are on fire. I don't know what happened. It wasn't hot out. But we're wandering through the dunes and we're trying to find the perfect location for a showdown sequence that we wanted. And I had in my mind what I wanted to see. And we finally got to the top of the dunes and we're setting up for this shot and we get hit by a sandstorm. And it's like, I mean, hot sand whacking you in the face. And I'm like, I just didn't want to give up because we had come that far to shoot these big epic scenes. And so I kind of felt like Captain Ahab or something, I'm like, no, we got to keep shooting. And kept shooting these really great shots. But the sand got into the camera and destroyed one of our cameras. And I had a little breakdown there. I didn't cry or suck my thumb, but I yelled and had to go off by myself for like 5 minutes or 5 days. I can't remember. It was a while. I stepped off and just had to collect myself. And fortunately, Sam had an extra camera there and broke it out and we finished the shoot. But for a moment there, I was sure we lost a lot of really good footage.
So what's your proudest moment?
Well, I could say this. I feel like my proudest moment will be when we see it on the big screen and we have everybody there and it actually plays out. And, I'm always worried there's going to be some technical flub up, the CD's going to skip, the DVD's the sound cuts out. There's suddenly some weird technical thing that happens, the projector burns out, something, so I'm always worried about that. And so but for me, the most satisfying thing will be actually the premiere and being able to sit back and even for just 2 hours, 3 hours, have that moment where people can sit in their chairs, eat some popcorn and enjoy the work that they did. So.
Okay. So quickly, let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
Spaced Out 2?
I would love to do Spaced Out 2. I would love it. Yeah. Already priming lots of ideas, lots of concepts, and the script I could probably pop out in a couple months really easily. Yeah.
What about distribution? What are your plans to get this out to the world?
Well, right now, what we'd like to do is get it to as many film festivals as we can. Get it to as many people as we can. Might even go down to LA and pitch it down there if we can. Go down and talk to some people. But try to get it in circulation through the film festivals first. And then I think when all is said and done, we can also put it on Netflix so people can watch it on Netflix. And bare minimum YouTube, so you always got YouTube.
Okay. And last question.
Okay.
Do you have any projects coming up that aren't directly related to Spaced Out 2, but may have some of the same actors or the same crew?
We're working on a couple projects, but we haven't casted anything yet. But definitely a couple different flavors. We're looking at a crime noir piece that takes place mostly in Olympia, and we're also looking at a thriller that I want to shoot down in Oregon. But yeah, I got a couple projects we want to see happen. So.
How did you get involved with Spaced Out?
Well, I worked with Dave, the director, and I saw his work on his previous movie, Smothered, and thought it was awesome. I didn't think that I would be able to spend time on it, though, so I was kind of like, well, maybe some other future project we could work together, but he needed somebody for the alien part, and hey, if I don't have to learn lines, that'll reduce my amount of involvement because I was in school. And he asked me, and I said, oh yeah.
Okay. So I hear you did more than one role in this.
What was it, 5?
5.
5 roles.
Which
Some of them are really small. You might not even notice me, but
what were they?
I was Strieber, the gray alien. I was Grin. Those are the 2 biggest. The cleaner. And then I was a torch-bearing shipmate guy that gets shot by Nathalie's character, and I was a dancer in a thought stream kind of scene where I dance on another character's balls, and what else was I? What, am I missing something? Oh, the drummer in the band. That's right.
What, in the Ten Skulls bar?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. All right. Well, so but prior to this, had you done any acting before?
Well, I was in plays. I was in plays from where I grew up, and I've done a few musicals, MAME. What else was I in? I was in My Fair Lady and Irene, and I also had a part in a non-musical. What George Washington Slept Here.
So is acting something that you would like to get into professionally?
I enjoy acting. At this point it's a fun thing. It's a project. It's a creative outlet. I mean, if the opportunity presented itself and I became an awesome star like I should be, that would be cool.
Okay, so of the many roles that you portrayed in Spacedout, which one gave you the most pleasure to do?
Well, Grin was really fun because we all went down to Oregon to the dunes, and we camped out, and we're working in the environment, in the climate and the weather, and but it was really fun. And I spoke more in that, so there was a little bit more to do, and it was in between, kind of like in between, almost in between semesters, so I had no homework, so it was easier to take the time out to do too, so it was fun.
Now, was there a role that you was your least favorite?
I just liked being a part of it, and it was thrilling to see the culture of everybody getting to work towards this really creative process. And so I wouldn't say, I mean, even when I worked on the sets and stuff, I wouldn't say there is any part that was my least favorite, because everybody is my friend, and I was just hanging out with friends, and if I got to do something, then that was awesome. Behind or in front of the camera.
Was there any character in particular that was maybe a Scott alter ego?
I think they're all parts of Scott. I think sometimes I tend to clam up. I know that might be surprising, but so Strieber didn't talk. He just gestured, and I think there's always this dark kind of presence behind my fun craziness, and so Grin was like that. I don't know, maybe some of the smaller roles are harder to define as personality, but I'm sure there's all bits of me in there.
So you said before that you already knew Dave Caulfield.
Yes.
You worked with him?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if Dave came to you tonight and said, hey, guess what, Scott? Production on Spaced Out 2 begins next week. What's your answer?
I'd say, like, cool. What's my part?
Okay. So if you could go back now and change any of the ways you portrayed a character, is there anything that you would do differently?
Well, sometimes I haven't seen a lot of the footage from Strieber, but it was hard to tell what I looked like in the mask. So I thought I would like to see how my movements were better, to be serious, because I don't know, maybe they were a little too quick or slow, or I wasn't looking at it. Didn't seem like I was looking at the right area, but I liked the way everything else played out. I mean, I don't. I try not to overthink that stuff because, like I said, it's a hobby, it's a project, and it's fun.
So from start to finish, the production took about a year. Is that right?
Longer than
Well,
that. What?
the principal photography was about a year, or is that more?
No, I think it was longer than the year. But to roll, but I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. It seemed like a long time, but I remember when Dave shot the first scene and in the Old Bailey's hotel motel, and I wasn't there, but he told me about how good it went, and I saw some of the footage, and it was great. And then I was working with it from then on, and we built crazy sets out of cardboard and used all sorts of available materials and built shuttle cockpit in the backyard, and so I don't know. It took a while. It took a long time.
So,
It's exciting. I kept wanting to. I got a T-shirt because Dave developed T-shirts, and it said opening. Was it June 2012? 2011? I don't know. Like, I've been wanting to cross that out and then put opening, July 2012. Cross that out. Put July 2013. Cross that out. May 2014, and keep that one.
so throughout the entire production process, do you have a really fond moment that you go back to and think about?
Well, we had the production. I think about getting painted with the gray makeup outside of Terry's house, a friend also of Dave's, and sitting in the cold in February, getting my torso painted gray. That was pretty fun. I like, hands applied to my upper torso.
Okay. Do you have any projects coming up? Any acting projects?
Well, if Dave wants me for an acting project, that's probably the main thing I would do. No other side projects right now. I'm focusing on my job as a therapist. I just started a therapist job, so that's my focus. My creative outlet is these works, and maybe I can do something else in the near future. But I don't have anything in planning stages or in mind.
Now, the premiere is scheduled for May 31st, 2014.
Yes.
You're looking forward to this, right?
Of course.
And what, in your mind, will be the most exciting about that?
Just seeing it all put together. I haven't personally seen the whole thing, how it fits together. I've seen the things like the trailers and stuff, and some of my scenes that Dave sent me, but I haven't seen it all put together. And so that's really exciting. And I just want to see everybody gathered together in a kind of a celebratory, yeah, we did it kind of thing. It's going to be great. It's definitely going to be a fun time.